What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Well, here we go. Right off the top, the assassin has arrived. Jumpsuit Pablo. This is a 10-minute video of his. I don't know if we'll do the whole thing. We'll see. He just released a new video. Jumpsuit Pablo and JD Delay are the ones that always get the inside scoop. So I'm going to react to this video. We're going to get to the bottom of it. I'm sure Jumpsuit Pablo is going to have a bunch of terminology that I don't know and talk about prison in California. Well, let's just get to it. Let's get to it.
Danny Masterson has a clique of guys around him who don't allow anyone to harm a curly brown hair on his head. That's according to a brand new Yahoo News article from their inside source. And they're talking about what a typical day looks like for Danny Masterson.
Danny Masterson he's in CMC. Like, who's going to do anything to him? But he's getting extorted, obviously. If he's got a group of 5, those 5 are getting monies. And they play Dungeons and Dragons, probably.
And according to him, and let me tell you now, it's filled with video games, pickleball, movie.
What is pickleball? Can somebody leave a comment? What the? I've never. They play pickleball on CMC apparently too.
And hundreds of dollars in snacks a month. I'm going to take you through this article and break it down. This says, Danny Masterson's life in prison sounds more like a relaxing weekend than a punishment, sources exclusively tell In Touch.
I will say this. I have heard people say, oh, in prison, they get 3 hots and a cot. There's no such thing as 3 hot meals in California prison. And I don't care how good somebody has it in prison. It's still horrible. It is. I mean, if you don't want to have any responsibilities and stuff, then yeah, but you still have to mind somebody. Somebody could wake up in a bad mood and decide it's your day to stop breathing. So I just want to bring that up.
In Touch, that's a very ironic name for a news outlet talking about Danny Masterson in prison. But it says that he participates in sports, enjoys video games, and a collection of TV shows and movies downloaded on his prison tablet. But also, Danny Masterson has broken several inmates' ankles on the basketball court, that is. Because at 11:30 or so, he heads out to the pickleball courts, plays pickleball for about 2 hours.
What is pickleball?
Gets his juices going, does a little stretching, and then they got the basketball hoops right there on the pickleball court, and he starts shooting J's and crossing people up, taking it all the way to the hole. The source, who's inside the prison with him, even says he's getting better and better. So it looks like he really missed his calling as an NBA point guard from the way they're talking about his game in there. Now, it also goes on to say that Masterson has made very nice with the guards. Not surprised at that. But apparently he's the errand boy, they call it there. In my prison in South Carolina, we call them runarounds because you just run around and do all the favors and errands. You know, errand boy, I mean, same thing. For the guards. And usually you'll have like a designated guard as far as
Sounds like he might be a clerk. Errand boy, they don't call him that over here. He's not going to be able to just run in and out of the buildings unless he's a clerk, whether that's a building clerk, a program office clerk. But he sounds like a clerk.
I know, but maybe it's different out there. And maybe he just does this for all and any of the guards. But usually you'll be assigned one specific guard, maybe a sergeant or lieutenant, something like that. You kind of just shadow them for most of your work hours on that day. And you just shadow them and do whatever. You take documents here, you take these papers here. If there's a basket of mail, you take it down to this cell block, this dorm, this building, or you know, medical request forms need to go to these inmates, you know, stuff like that. And that sounds like what he's doing, at least for one guard, if not all of them. It says here he hands out permission slips to fellow inmates who have medical appointments, counseling sessions, and other appointments.
He's a clerk. So, shout out again to Jumpsuit Pablo. But I don't understand, like, if you really do have a plug in there, why wouldn't he give you the proper terminology of what it is? Only clerks hand out ducats. Sometimes a tier tender or porter, whichever one you want to call them, they hand out ducats. But it sounds to me like they've decided to make him the building clerk or the tier clerk, because I think he's I don't know how many tiers they have in CMC, so I don't know how it works. But there's usually a building clerk, and then there's porters. He's one of the two, but he sounds like a clerk to me, and I'm saying the same thing over and over.
Appointments within the prison. This is kind of the job I was talking about when I made videos about Chad Daybell and even Alec Murdaugh. You know, these kind of sweet jobs you get, because this is really considered a sweet job from the prisons I'm aware of, and I would imagine it would be out there too. I mean, you're kind of shadowing this officer all day. What's really going to happen to you if you're kind of worried about that? You know, you're always going to and from somewhere in the name of this officer. They're expecting you to come back. You know, most likely nothing's gonna. There's not really gonna be any opportunities to do anything to you, or it's not gonna be worth the risk. But I guess never say never. Let me continue.
Yeah, that they don't hang out with the officers. The officers have their station, and this dude's running around doing whatever. He's in a prison that is like as close to the PHU as possible, probably. Like as far as the way the security is and the people there.
Continue reading. It says at 3 p.m. every day, he's required to be in his cell for a head count, according to the insider, but he's allowed to use a prison-issued tablet. With this tablet, he can play video games and choose from a selection of TV shows and movies to watch. However, the source clarifies that the prisoners don't have access to traditional internet and that all of his emails and messages are monitored. Now, let me talk about this.
I just want to say real quick before he gets into it, when I was in there, we didn't have tablets. The only people that had tablets, and that was even new prior to me being released, was college students. They would get their assignments and stuff on a tablet. But then now everybody, I guess everybody has access to a tablet now, and they can make phone calls from them and do all kinds of stuff. I don't know.
The prison issued tablet, we have that out here in South Carolina too. I think it's something they're trying to really get going all over the country in the prisons. Number one, it kind of becomes a substitute. They started doing this around like the COVID period, you know, when you couldn't really have people come in for in-person visits. And I think they saw an opportunity to just, let's do it all digital, you know, and now you can just have video visit calls, at least as far as I know, with my tablets out here. But you'll have your visits on this screen instead of actually being able to see them in person, you know. But you can send emails, messages to approved people on your list or whoever makes an account with this little jail tablet. I mean, same thing that we saw Alex Murdaugh have, you know, that where we got all those leaked pictures from him and gave him to the news and everything. You know, same thing. You can buy a bunch of little video games. These aren't top of the line. Whatever, stuff like that. Movies, yeah, they come out with new movies, a new selection of movies just about every 30 to 60 days. You can buy kind of a season pass that lets you get these, or you can buy specific movies and TV shows. I wonder if he watches his own TV show. I don't know. Maybe that'd be weird. But they do go on to say, as I mentioned, want to clarify, he doesn't have access to traditional internet. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I bet he doesn't. He doesn't have access to traditional
Unless he has a cell phone, which I'm sure he does.
internet on that prison tablet. It doesn't allow it. Unless you're one of those guys who jailbreaks the tablet, and then you can access the internet, which we've seen done already. I've posted a video of that guy bragging about how he did that to in his prison cell. And that's not even to mention, I'm sure he's gotten his hands on a cell phone. Even if he doesn't own one, he's probably used one here and there.
Come on.
I go on to talk about the quality of meals he's getting in there. I don't think it's any big surprise that they're just not good.
There we go.
The food is crap. I don't think that's, big shocking headline right there. So, maybe I'll just skip over it. But I don't know. If you're interested, it says we'll have like a casserole kind of thing that's so horrible most guys won't even eat it. He'll get grilled chicken and a salad, but it's mostly like wilted lettuce. For breakfast, they serve eggs, but it's
okay. Let's get to
the canteen. Have anything you can find in your local gas station. Maybe a couple more, canned goods than usual, but pretty much your gas station food right there. So it sounds like he's wolfing down those honey buns and eating those Reese Pieces and all that good stuff. Now it's talking about how he's adjusting socially to life behind bars. Source reveals that Masterson seems to be adjusting well. He says, quote, he doesn't seem to be too shy and he limits where he goes, limits who he has around him. At first, there were a couple people around him that were going to victimize him, whatever that means, but you can use your imagination.
Damn, he only used one air quote. I don't know. I just needed to say something.
Nation. But some of the other prisoners interfered with that. And he goes on to say, so he's got a clique of friends, if you want to call them that he hangs around with. It's mostly the guys in the neighboring cells. Like I said, it's a mature crowd, so they are not doing dumb stuff. These are older guys that are out of the gangs, serving 25 to life, that are rehabilitated, hoping to get a parole hearing date to get out. They are well behaved. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know about that either. I think where he's at, there's no actual threat to him. Because if there was a threat to him, these five guys wouldn't stop it. They would just get stabbed before him or in the process. It's done in here often. In there often. When you have somebody who has people around him as security is going to get hit because they're in the way. So there's obviously, by what he's hearing from his source, there's no credible threat against him. It's just a bunch of old men and weirdos like him that are hanging out and playing Dungeons and Dragons and pickleball. What pickleball? I don't even want to know. I don't want to. What is pickleball? Anyways.
Listen, at the end of the day, I'm not there. I'm not in that cell block, and I wasn't there. I don't know the conversations they had, but let me tell you something. That sounds fishy. that sounds a little. Oh, they stepped in and interfered with the prisoners who were going to victimize them. Hey, halt! Don't do that.
Yeah,
we're rehabilitated now. We don't have to do this anymore. No. And it's interesting the choice of words he says.
No, I no. Let's just hypothetically speak, that there is a dude that's there, one guy, maybe two, that said, nah, I'm not going to do my time around this guy. And they're not going to stab him, if they were thinking that, and they could have been talked out of it that easy. What could have happened is you had these older dudes step in and basically say, look, are you willing to blow a chance to go home on somebody like this? It would have been some weird hippie talk, and and them being able to allegedly talk the assassins out of assassinating. They weren't real assassins. These guys were probably just a couple youngsters. I don't know. I heard that he's on a tier full of like old ass dudes, so maybe the guys have walkers and just not fast enough to get to them. I don't know.
Because he's got a clique of friends, if you want to call them that he hangs around with. What do you mean if you want to call them that? I understand you don't really make friends in prison, but it just all of this context leads me to believe that someone's getting paid off. Someone, somewhere, somehow is getting paid off.
Absolutely.
Again, I don't know, but it sounds like some money got paid, and now nobody's got to touch him.
Can't say that. Nobody right now. He's a building clerk. I'm sure Danny Masterson is not going to do anything to leave that place. And I'm sure the administration, even if he got caught with a cell phone or anything like that, I'm sure they're never going to put him in a place where they're liable, to be sued. I don't think he's going to transfer. If he transferred, all bets are off. If he went to a different prison, all bets would be off. He's in a safe place for him. Like I said, when we were initially talking about where he'd be housed, I thought it would be the PHU. I had forgot all about CMC. Almost nobody ever thinks of CMC when you're incarcerated in California. But I think he's in a safe place, and we'll see though. But there's always that one or two dudes that slides through where the administration messes up, and that's where the potential problem would be, the potential threat for this individual.
And he kind of just compensated with, oh, well, maybe I'll just, don't want to make it sound like anything crazy is going on there. So, oh, and by the way, they're very mature crowd in here. These guys, cream of the crop. Nothing to worry about. They have Bible study 3 times a week in there. So don't you worry. Everybody's doing good. Now, it sounds like somebody's got some money paid to them, which is, hey, that's what happens. You know? That's how it goes. That's what I figured all along. When I first, before he even made it to these prisons, that's what I assumed would happen. Why would you
Let's
not do
skip
that
a
if you're
little.
Danny Masterson? You got all this. Um, it's easy street. It's easy street. But as you see there, even on easy street where you play pickleball and you get video games and you shooting jump shots and watching movies, eating candy and Snicker bars, he was still going to have some people who were going to victimize him. They were still going to do that.
No, they weren't.
They were.
So I see there's really nothing here. They weren't going to victimize him. They wanted people around them to talk them out of something they were never going to do in the first place, is what it sounds like. Because, in a place like that, when you go to a junkyard, a place full of trash, you don't announce your intentions. They'll just go to the cops and say, hey, man, these dudes are about to hurt somebody. Because that's who they are on that yard. So I doubt there's any threat. I would Jumpsuit Pablo, just some advice. When these people, if your source in there, when they tell you, oh, he's running around this and that, ask them, is there a term for that? Is there a word for that? Is there a job assignment for that? That way, because for those of us from California, when you say errand boy or run around or whatever it was, over here, it's just a clerk. I'm sure he's either a clerk or a porter, but he sounds like a clerk. I know I said it 100 times. I won't say it again. He's just a clerk. But anyways, that's our update on, I forgot what we were calling this guy. But that's my update on this video, on his situation, his current situation. I doubt anything will change in his situation unless the wrong guy gets transferred, slips through the cracks. Then that's where the threat is. And I don't know if he's smart enough to keep his guard up or however long. He's got, what, 30 to life or some shit. So for the however long he's in prison, I'm pretty sure at some point he may let his guard down. A lot of people do, and that is when it happens. It's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out of here.